Or some of you, you are, Mr. Enigmatic. You're very mysterious. You don't want to be known. And so they will now ask you, tell us about yourself in the bio. Where you are supposed to put bio. They're supposed to help us to know. I mean, why are you here? Tell us. You will now say, chat me to know more. Does this look like to go? No. Let's have these conversations. Does this look like to go? Or some other people. Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Ozioma, and here I talk about life from the standpoint of faith, career, relationships, and everything else in between. Today we're going to be continuing on our relationship series, which we started, I think must have been a month ago now. And today we're going to be talking about online dating. If you haven't checked out the previous videos, I'd encourage you to do so because I believe they are very, packed with godly wisdom and very insightful. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about online dating. Should Christians use online dating apps? Why is a Christian looking for a teen? I saw that Osha on Bumble the other day. What are we looking for there? And should we be, what does the Bible say? What does God think? Any other biblical wisdom that can be applied to this area of our lives? And yes, I've got some answers and I'll be sharing in today's video. So I would also be sharing a little bit of like story time of a few times that I tried being on the apps, and I will definitely let you know how it went. So yes, if you want to know more about this, keep watching. Okay, so let's delve right into it. I'll first say two things. One of the reasons why a lot of times there's so much stress about conversations like this in the church is because we don't quite have, or the Bible doesn't have explicit guidelines, and I'll explain on like, okay, you want to get married, do 1, 2, 3, 4, and it will surely lead you to 5 where you find your wife or your husband. The Bible gives us some guidelines and some principles and some things that leads you, but unlike things like salvation, if you want to be saved, believe with your heart that Jesus is Lord, confess with your mouth, and ye shall be saved. Definitely, assuredly. But for things like marriage, there's guidelines and principles, but a lot of times there's gray areas where people are like, oh, well, what should I do in this situation? And that's why conversations like this are very important. And then the second thing I would say is that unfortunately, in a lot of Christian circles, people have made the doctrines of men doctrines of God. By the grace of God, I've belonged to a local church since I was like, before I even knew my name. Through different seasons of life, I've moved through different churches, but I always believe in like the role of the local church to shape you, and the role of like your pastors and everything to equip you as a saint. However, having said that, there's a lot of times when, like, I don't have a personal problem when my pastor say, oh, don't wear trousers, or don't do this and don't do that. I have a problem when it's not in the scripture and it's being propagated as the doctrines of God. So unfortunately, in a lot of Christian settings, there's a lot of cultural biases and so many things that have seeped in and have been perpetuated as the doctrines of God. And that is an error. It breaks my heart a lot, and I do not think that it ought to be so. Okay, so having said these things, I'll go straight to the answer. I do not think that there is anything wrong with Christian dating. We don't see it anywhere in scripture that there's something wrong with Christian dating, and so there's nothing wrong with a Christian dating on Christian apps. I mean, I have always said it on this platform. No version of Christianity that leaves 100% of the responsibility to God is biblical. Like, we don't see anywhere in scriptures. And I always chat with my friends about like Genesis 24 and how I really want to write a book about it. I have started. By the grace of God, I pray for grace to complete it, because there's so much wisdom in there. If there was anybody that God should have molded his wife and presented them, it should have been Isaac, because Isaac was the first fruit of the promise, as it were. Isaac was the very first son of Abraham, and so he was the first fruit of the promise. But even that didn't happen with Isaac. Even Isaac was like 40 years old before he got married, and he was like 60 years old. Sometimes you feel like you are behind the law because we're all on Instagram and you're stressed by people's timelines. But Isaac was 40 years old before he got married. And interestingly, like, I think maybe his journey would have been longer if Abraham hadn't staged an intervention. So even Abraham had to go and look for, as it were, a wife for his son. Right? So that story that I love, Christian circles usually, if you think about it, he wasn't sat just waiting for some supernatural thing. I mean, people meet their spouses in the church while serving and stuff like that. But the honest truth is that not everybody would do that. And so it's very important for us as Christians to think about other ways that we can meet people, other ways you can be seen or found if you're a woman, other ways you can find if you're a man. And yes, that's why we're having this conversation. Okay? So having said that, there is absolutely nothing wrong with like online dating for Christians. I know a lot of like Christian couples personally, this is not that they say. I know a lot of Christian couples that I've met through like dating apps, and they are thriving in their homes and blessing people all over the world. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just like when I'm trying to look for a job, I go on LinkedIn, or I go on some of these other Indeed and stuff like that. Or you're trying to find a house, I go on Spare Room. There is absolutely nothing wrong with dating apps for Christians. However, what we should be asking is the dating app right for me now? Right? So that's a more relevant question, which is where I'm going to spend a bit of time talking. And then secondly, how do I carry God along in my journey? Because even though I've said that, any Christianity that leaves 100% of the responsibility to God is not biblical, we don't see anywhere in scripture, it's very important for you to know, how do I involve God? How do I carry God along? How do I align with God's plan and timeline for my life? Because honestly, things like this, when you do it outside of the timing and purpose of God, you're just going to be beating the air. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, it has to be in alignment with God's timing. It has to be in alignment with God's pattern. It has to be in alignment with God's design. Okay? And then the last thing I'm going to be talking about is, okay, so if I do go on these apps, how best should I present myself? What's the best way to get results? So in between, I'm going to be putting in bits and pieces of like short experience. I'm going to be honest with you guys, I've not had like extended experiences with the apps, but there's been different points in time in my life where I'm like, oh, let me try over. So I'm going to say or share kind of things that worked for me. So first things first, is the dating app right for you? First of all, I always say, do not go shopping when you're starving. Like, the propensity for you to pick up snacks and things that are unhealthy, the propensity for you to be impatient to be able to cook the healthy meal that you desire is higher. So do not go shopping when you're starving. When you are, when you just come out of a breakup, or you are just in a space where you're very desperate, you're very anxious, you're very insecure, you're just seeking for validation, don't go on those apps. Because on those apps, you will meet people from poets to upcoming artists that are going to tell you things you need to hear, and you will not be able to discern accurately what's good for you. You might also not be patient enough to be able to get what's the best for you. So I'd say, don't go on the apps if you're starving for attention, if you're insecure. Take time off to heal from that, first of all. And the second thing I would say is, I do not recommend like you going on the apps when you're very young, or like you're maybe under 20 or something. I feel like you at that stage of your life, and I'm saying this because I know a few of my teenagers from church and my disciples or mentees watch this, like, this is not for you if you're under 20. And I'm saying this because like at that stage of your life, I think you should be focused on like building friendships. And a lot of times your partners or your spouses would come from within your friendship group, so don't stress yourself too much trying to be on the apps. You need some maturity to be able to discern what works for you and what doesn't. You also need some maturity to know what where you're going, the kind of where you're going, like in terms of your direction, and that would help you knowing the kind of people you should look out for and those to avoid on the apps. And then the third thing I would say is, don't go on the apps if you're led otherwise. Having said that, doctrines of men are not the same as doctrines of God. You have to be careful a lot of times that your cultural biases is not what is standing between you and your Boaz, or you and your Ruth, as the case may be, right? So having said that, it's also important for you to be led by God. Like, how God leads you, how God talks to you. There's a lot of times when God is like, yeah, that's not for you. Like, for you, this is it, that's that. Like, this is how you're going to be your husband, or this is how you're going to be your wife, and then you can follow through in that way. But yeah, except when you're led otherwise, yeah, you shouldn't bother doing it, because then that will be against the pattern that God has already showed you. Okay. And then lastly, it's okay for you to not want to use the apps. I also prefer meeting people, friends, potential partners in more traditional settings. I still think in my heart of heart that, probably I'm going to meet this person in a cafe or something. And so like, if that's you, it's okay. Like, don't stress it too much and feel like, oh no, I have to be on the apps for this to happen. A lot of people have been on the apps and it hasn't happened yet. Okay. So still be in tune with yourself. Don't force yourself out of you get what I mean. And then next thing is, how do I then go with God in the process? And I would say pray. I still have very vividly in my mind when I was a teenager, my early teens, maybe I was 13, 14, and I was asking God for like, a group of Christian friends, like Christian girlfriends. I just always liked the whole idea of, I'm going to have like Christian girlfriends, like a group of 3 of us or 4 of us. And, we talk about Christian things, talk about boys, talk about everything. And I prayed to the Lord. And I would say that the Lord in that season sends me some of my friends that are my closest friends till today. And we're still here. In fact, interestingly, like 3 of us, miraculous, I would say, because we didn't even plan it, found ourselves in the UK. And then all of us are just like living life together and stuff. And that's a result of prayer. In my opinion, that's one of the earliest times I asked God for him to send the right people into my life. So pray about it. Like, before going on the app, don't just jump on like Instagram. Like, pray. And interestingly, in my study this morning, I read Ruth chapter 1, through to the end. It was a part of the Bible study we're doing as the group that I pray with in the mornings. And when I read it, I was just laughing because I was like, wow, wow, there's so much wisdom in this book of Ruth. And I'm like, yeah, this is definitely the day I'm meant to film this video. And one of the major things that I saw in the book of Ruth is the fact that God ordered the step of Boaz. Of Ruth rather, excuse me, God ordered the step of Ruth. The Bible says she found herself in the field of Boaz. So even though you're using the apps, you pray about it and you can find yourself, it's that same time that you guys are also going to be thinking about using the app that, both of you are going to meet there. So yeah, definitely number one, pray about it. Number two, be discerning. And number three, I'd say, don't throw your values away. Don't throw your values away. Don't say because you want to, then you now throw your values away. That way you're leaving God out of the equation. Don't leave God out of the equation. Carry him along. And then lastly, I'll talk about how to make the best of the apps. And yeah, let's talk about this. So those of you that when they say you should go on dating apps, you now put picture that is scaring us, as if it's not scary enough that we're all lined up here trying to find love of our lives. Your own picture is now extra terrifying. Or you are doing picture, they say you should put your picture, you put profile picture. The profile picture is the picture of you in a choir. Why are you trying to be funny? Or the profile picture is of you looking down. Are we here to play? Are we really here to play? Or some of you are not even patient enough. So where you're supposed to put your name, you will just see data analyst 34 Swindon. It reads very badly when you're not even able to calm down to know where you should put what. I don't understand it. Or some of you are, Mr. Enigmatic. You're very mysterious. You don't want to be known. And so they will now ask you, tell us about yourself in the bio. Where you are supposed to put bio. That's supposed to help us to know. Why are you here? Tell us. You will now say, chat me to know more. Does this look like to go? No. Let's have these conversations. Does this look like to go? I'm not going to lie to you. I have not used the dating apps for more than a month at this church. So I may not be the best person to do this. In fact, the first few times that I tried signing up on a dating app, I think it was a few years ago, I was like, why are these strangers? How do you go from, mommy tells you not to talk to, strangers, face your business on the road, to me, I should now go and sit down in the midst of strangers? It was very terrifying. I think I deleted the app in 30 minutes or something. But then, in other times I've tried it, yet not at a stretch, because for me, I'm I don't know, I have my reservations, but that's not what we're here to talk about. So yeah, having said that, please put your best foot forward. And in those few shots that my eyes have seen a lot. Or some other people, good morning, how are you? Fine. The end. The next day, hi, how are you? The end. No intention, no purpose. Why are you talking to me? What do you want? Why are you here? We all paid money to be here, no? Where some people giving free scholarship to be on these apps. Why are we here? No, nothing. No intention, no purpose. No. There's nothing that worries me or any serious-minded person than hello, I. It's so pointless. Okay, so hi, how are you? I've responded. Or if you send me a message, why did you send me a message? Why are you interested in matching me? And then you're even trying to strike a conversation and the person can't progress between. You have to be a chatbot. That's what you are. You are an AI. Because you can't be doing hello, I, hi, hello, good afternoon. I'm not here to play, right? Or some other people, yeah, I remember there was an instance where, I don't know how I missed it in the person's bio, but this person likes your profile. You went through, okay, yeah, let me like the person back. And then we matched and then we started chatting. And then as we realized, this person you know what? I see from your profile, you're very spirit-filled, you're a believer, but me, I'm not into that church like that. I was like, God, I thank you because I really prayed before coming to this app. You are helping me. You are really helping me. I see your hand in my life. Oh God. I was like, oh wow, thank you so much for your honesty. But this is what I'm about. My faith is very strange. I was sweet about it, right? I was very sweet about it. Okay. The Bible tell me why this person comes back. I'm like, okay, yeah, thank you. It's okay. Blah, blah, blah. A lot of paragraphs at the end. It's okay, well, but Amaka be my lover. I'm like, you didn't understand why. She said, okay. I said, okay, sorry. The problem is me. So I went ahead and I explained again. The person you know what? Amaka be my girl. I'm like, you are a chatbot. You are just repeating the same thing. You're not even engaging with the things that I'm saying. You are just an AI, and that's it. So I would say, I've said a lot of interesting things, but I'd say number one, put your best foot forward. for me, I always say that yes, God is the one that's going to. Everyone is not going to be your cup of tea. So people, you will like them, they will not like you back. So people will not match with you and stuff like that. But let it be that anybody that sees your profile will know that you put some thought and intention into it. Like, put some thought and intention into your bio. Like, don't be sounding like a bot. Don't be sounding like, be authentic. Like, explain yourself. Why are you here? My name is this. This is what I'm looking for. These are kind of people I'm looking for. If you're like this, please feel free. And be inviting emojis and stuff like that. Make your bios pop. Use nice pictures. Use pictures where you are facing front. Don't be. I'm telling you the honest truth. Some people were really scary. Like, I remember there was one app I joined, and the guy was looking at me like this. I said, this person is giving PTSD, because I'm not even going to lie to you. I was looking at my maths teacher. He had his glasses here. I was like, bro, are you here to chastise me? What is going on here? So I'll say, like, put your best pictures forward, put your best foot forward, and then be intentional. Like, I always say, don't spend what you won't eat. I don't know, like, if people go on dating apps to play. I know some people do it, like, you go on dating apps, you just find friends, you're bored and stuff like that, maybe. But I think the point should be, like, to see who you are compatible with, to, like, isn't that the people that made salt Christian connection, is that not what they said? Yes, that's what they wanted. And so I don't know why people go there to play. So be intentional in your matching. If you see that someone doesn't align, you see, so this one is you see me now, this guy is a spirit coco. In fact, I don't even look spirit coco enough. I'm telling you. I always tell people that on the outside I look like a Gen Z. Don't I? I'm giving Gen Z, but inside, I'm not gonna lie to you. Inside of me, I'm CAC. No, I don't even used to play. Inside of me, when you see me praying, my head is like this. Inside of me, I'm an SU. So I try to explain that in my bio. Not that I'm an SU or that I'm a CSC, but that this me, I'm serious about Jesus. I carry him on my head like puff. When you see something like that and it doesn't align, just move away. And also, like, you that you're a Christian, when you see something like this, move away. Now, having said that, there's an important point which I need to note. This is something that really breaks my heart. I don't know what people think that Christianity is these days, but sometimes I'm like, is it because we're not in the days of Deuteronomy? Or is it because we're not in the days of Leviticus? You hear a lot of stories of Christians, like purported Christians, self-acclaimed Christians who say they believe in God and they go to church, they are serving in the house of God, guys, and they're asking for sex before marriage. I'm really struggling to understand the concept. Like, if both of you are dating, unfortunately, unwisely, you people are in compromised situations and you're not having a conversation. Maybe one person's like, be strong, the other person's like, hey, my body. I get it. That one is unwise for you to put yourself in that situation. But I understand it. But that you are from the get-go, your mindset is, I'm going to this relationship to fornicate, and you're a Christian. Have you no fear of the Lord? No, have you no fear of the Lord? Like, it's actually very terrifying. Like, we need to get it together, ladies and gentlemen. Like, if you're a Christian, like, honestly, fear God and do things the right way. So I said that to say that not everybody who is self-acclaimed Christian is who is a self-acclaimed Christian on the apps are. That's why I said you need discernment, and that's why I said you need God. Okay, so there are many other interesting stories, but I don't even know if this is the right platform to share them. But I would say that I've had quite good conversations as well. Like, and that's the thing. When you go on those apps as well, don't just see people as commodities. I know, like, with the way that the algorithm is designed, with the way that mobile phones are designed and stuff, a lot of times we're just swiping without intention. A lot of times you're not even thinking about it. You're just swiping. But understand that everybody there, Christian or not, is a creation of God and is deserving of respect. And you should accord respect to those people. Don't talk to people anyhow. Even the people that respond to me like chatbots, Amaka be my girl, Amaka be my lover, Ozioma, even those people, I respect them, because I'm like, yeah, you might be a chatbot, and I'm going to honor you and honor the way that I converse with you. So I think, like, it's important for you to be honoring and respectful of people's time. Don't be deceitful. Like, if there's nothing there, don't waste the person's time. Okay. So I don't know if this has been helpful, but if you're a Christian and you're thinking, should I date, should I not date, should I be on the apps? Yeah, maybe you should pray about it. And if you don't feel any restrictions in your heart, I would say go for it. I would end with this story of a sister who shared about, I attended this church program or something some time ago, and she was sharing about how she was waiting on the Lord for the longest time. Like, she was trusting God, this is going to happen, God, this is going to happen, and nothing happened. And then one time she was like, let me go on the apps, and she went on the apps, and in 6 weeks or something, like, she met her husband and they were married in 6 months or something. And every time that I heard that story, my mind was like, what would have happened if you never moved? Like, you will just conclude that this is not the will of God for you to be married. And that's where it is for like a lot of people. Like there aren't enough, maybe you're not putting intention into dating, you're not talking, like minus the apps. Like I said, I'm more traditional in my approach as well. So if you are not digging the apps, it's okay, we're together. Like talk to people, tell your friends, like there's nothing to be shy about. Like why are you shy about it? Eo Odindi Isaac, my patriarch, he was 40 years old and his daddy still went to look for his wife. Like there's nothing for you to be ashamed. It's okay to need help. Okay, like it's okay to need help, especially if you're in peculiar situations. You're an immigrant, you're a Sakastran. How many, I was going to say black people, but yeah, maybe you don't have preference, regarding tribes and colors and stuff. Like how many do you meet every day? Do you understand? Like it's okay to need help. It's okay to approach matchmakers. Some of them are pretty pricey these days. I was saying to my sister, it's before their love don't cost a dime. Now it costs budget. So some of these matchmakers are expensive, but it's worth praying about and giving it a try. So yes, if this is still your year, this year you want to get married, you're still trusting God, it can happen. But just pray about it. Think about like expounding like the things that where you meet people, connect with people, be open, and yeah, let God do his magic. Ultimately, did I mention already that in the morning I had my Bible study? And it was in the book of Ruth, or it was in previous edits. I think I mentioned, but if I didn't, yeah, this morning I was studying the book of Ruth, and it wasn't planned. Like, it's not even me that is deciding where to study. It's like this group of amazing women that I pray with in the mornings, and that was the topic. When I saw, I was like, God, did you know I was going to be doing this video today? Anyways, and one of the major things that I took away from the book of Ruth this morning was the fact that the Bible says in the first chapter, or the second chapter, I think, that Ruth found herself in the field of Boaz. So she went out, she was just going about her business, but she found herself in the field of Boaz. And that's the role of God as the matchmaker. Like, there is nothing God cannot do. So do not just go and feel like, oh my God, I'm just helpless and only me is just trying to figure out this dating thing. No, every step along the way, God is with you. So submit to his process and don't feel like you're alone. Like, God is leading you, and there's so much supernaturalness happening in the ordinary things, like Rebecca going to fetch water, or like Rachel going to the well, or like Ruth going about trying to find food for her family. Okay, so there's supernatural connections happening there, and there is nothing God cannot do. So that's for somebody that's feeling like, cheer up, God is going to do it eventually. Okay, oh my goodness, I keep remembering one last point that I was going to share, and this is something that I need to share because I did mention briefly that I considered apps, and there's so many things like I've tried, like talking to people, networking, matchmaker, blah, 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 blah. And I would say something that's very interesting is the fact that, in seasons where I felt really low, I felt like, God is not here. I felt like I was not in my best, state of mind. God led me to stay away from things like the apps and to work on really building confidence and building my assuredness in the promises of God for my life. If you are still there and you're thinking, oh, you're never going to get married because where am I going to find the man? Like, see, stop everything, stop dating, stop talking stage, stop everything, lock yourself in the room and stay with the word of God. Get the promises of God until you are sure. I always tell my friends, like, you feel a bit down because sometimes you don't understand. Like, if you understand that with the investment that God has done in your life, the investment, physical investment in your education, in your experiences, in the godly wisdom is imparted, the supernatural connections he has brought your way, with the investment that God knows that if Lara should have a baby, the Lara's baby school is turning upside down for Jesus. Or God knows that if Kennedy should get married and become a father, wow, what an excellent father he's going to be. Why do you think that God will not do it for you? I don't know if I'm going in this direction, but maybe there's someone that needs to hear. Like, why do you feel like God will not do it? What does God stand to gain by not giving you a husband? Or what does he stand to gain by not giving you a wife? If anything, the kingdom of God is going to benefit. Like, because your seeds are going to be mighty on the earth. And so I think it's very important for you to have the right mindset. Like, if you're there and except God has told you, and except you have chosen, there are some people you knock by choice. If you have not chosen to be Apostle Paul, why are you're in your 20s, you're in your 30s, you're like, God don't want me to get married. Has he told you? If he has told you, it's okay. I'm not talking to you. But if he has not told you specifically, shake out of it, okay? Your husband will rise up and call you blessed. Your children will surround your table. Your wife will be blessed at your table, okay? So don't sit down and conclude a lot of these things if God has not told you. Okay, anyway. So yes, few apps that I think in my experience have been, worth my coins. I'd say Ibadan sets me free. E-Harmony. E-Harmony. I'll put it. Wow, why can't I? E-Harmony. Salt, Christian Connections. Yeah, and then you can try Bumble as well. Tinder. There's a lot of weird people because those ones are not Christian apps, but yeah, you can try them because sometimes they have a wider pool than some of these other. I don't think E-Harmony is strictly Christian, but I just think they put a bit of intention in their compatibility reports when they match people, and that I found useful. Okay, so yes, that's the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and yeah, I'd like to know your thoughts. Have you used the apps, or do you have any reservation as a Christian? Or yeah, any experience at all? Please share in the chat. And guys, please, did I mention I'm trying to get to 500? Let me kneel down. I beg, please, like, subscribe, I just like it. Okay, and comment. You can even put heart emoji if you just, or put thumbs up, put 100. Just say something. Thank you so much. God bless you. Kisses. God bless you. Until we meet again. Bye bye.